How did the richest family in the world go bankrupt? 2 words, no budget. Cornelius Commodore Vanderbilt borrowed $100 from his mom in 1810, which would be roughly equivalent to $2,400 today. With it, he built a steamship and railway empire that grew into a $100 million fortune by 1877, making Commodore one of America's richest men with a net worth of over $200 billion in today's terms. 6 generations later, his family lost it all. In this video, we're going to explain 1. How the Vanderbilts became the wealthiest family in the US, 2. How they overspent their millions over 6 generations, 3. How your family can avoid the same fate with a budget planner, and 4. How to use a spreadsheet we created to get started. If you want to go straight to the resource, feel free to skip ahead. A descendant of Dutch immigrants with a frugal upbringing, Commodore learned to save any and all disposable income from limited means. Commodore's mom, Phebe, would even charge interest when she lent out her silver to turn a profit. With a $100 loan from his mother, Commodore used his first check to buy a small boat, which he then turned into a business ferrying freight and passengers from Manhattan and Staten Island. Go figure, the guy with the nickname Commodore buys a boat. Maybe I need a cool self-fulfilling nickname. Admiral Commodore was so successful that by 1817, he had earned a government contract to ferry military supplies in New York Harbor during the War of 1812. He would use competitive pricing to undercut rivals so low they had to give in or buy him out. He then saved the cash and would lend it out to earn interest or invest in hard capital like more boats or real estate. Between the 1820s and 1850s, he built his own steamboat fleet, built his own ships, and even built his own canal to ferry passengers and mail from New York to California during the gold rush. This was all with an eye on cost. A former clerk said he never had a debt and never bought anything on credit. He was economical almost to extremes. Why do I have a feeling that quote might come back to haunt this family later? By 1864, Commodore swapped his captain's hat for a conductor's hat and acquired controlling stakes in 2 New York-based railroads. By 1867, he had control of all of the railroads between New York and Buffalo. At its peak, his company, New York Central, was the 2nd largest railroad in the US, with 11,000 miles of track across 11 states and 2 provinces in Canada. When Commodore died in 1877, he reportedly had $100 million in the bank, which was more than the entire US Treasury and would be worth $233 billion today. The Vanderbilt's budgetary strategy was frugal spending. So income was always higher than expenses, and savings were invested to make more income or saved as cold hard cash. You could say Commodore was the ultimate family budgeter, as he left only $500,000 to each of his heirs, except one. William Billy Vanderbilt inherited the bulk of the estate at $95 million. Commodore warned Billy, "Any fool can make a fortune. It takes a man of brains to hold on to it." Billy took this advice seriously and doubled the family fortune to over $200 million thanks to his 87% controlling share of New York Central. By the time he passed, this share was split and divided up between 2 sons. The first, Cornelius II, died managing the railroad after only 7 years. The second, William II, took over and decided to retire early. This is where the fortune went off the rails. Pun intended. William Vanderbilt spent money on yachts, thoroughbred horses, an expensive art collection, and 10 mansions on Manhattan's 5th Avenue. There was also a 146,000-acre estate built by another Vanderbilt brother, a summer home in Rhode Island, and the philanthropy. William gave hundreds of thousands of dollars to the YMCA, Columbia University, his own Vanderbilt University, and Vanderbilt Clinic, and gave $1 million to tenement houses in New York. The Vanderbilts' net savings reached $0 gained by the end of William's reign, leaving the fortune stagnant at $200 million. As William said, inherited wealth is a real handicap to happiness. Or, as the late great rapper Biggie Smalls said, mo money, mo problems. But they still had $200 million, right? Next came brothers Reggie Vanderbilt, who is the grandfather of CNN anchor Anderson Cooper, and Neely Vanderbilt, who was not the grandfather of iconic rapper Nelly. But that would be kind of cool, right? Both brothers spent a ton to maintain the high society lifestyle of the Roaring Twenties, and this dwindling supply was dispersed between even more descendants throughout the early 1900s. This all happened right as railroads were becoming a less important transportation source, meaning less income coming in. They tried to make up this lost income by selling shares of New York Central to other railroads, but after 2 failed mergers, that only created a bigger failing company. The family business finally declared bankruptcy in 1970, and a year later was completely taken over by federally controlled Amtrak. And today, as Commodore's great-great-great-grandchild Anderson Cooper said in 2014,
"No, there's no trust fund, there's none of that."
Through multiple generations, the Vanderbilt family failed to pass on the tactical budgeting strategies that earned them their original wealth. For more on how psychology and money are intertwined, check out our summary video of the book, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. To avoid the same fate for your family, you can use a family budget planner to track your expenses, set a savings goal, and stick to it. We'll show you how to use a template recreated to do exactly that. Our budget planner allows the whole family to track and analyze their finances from month to month and details each transaction by category, who made the transaction, and whether it was a must or nice to have. The dashboard breaks out all these transactions against your annual goal to see if you are on track or off track and by how much. I'll now explain how to use each tab so the whole family can learn how to contribute to the annual goal. To manage a budget, you need to know 2 things: your monthly income and your monthly expenses. With these inputs and your outputs, you can easily manage your money. This Transactions tab accounts for each of the transactions from your bank account. Enter the start date of your budgeting, the start balance in your bank account, and the goal balance you plan to achieve in 1 year. Enter your transactions below. Then select the transaction type, its category, and subcategory, the person who made the transaction, and whether it was a must-have or nice-to-have from the drop-down fields. A helpful framework that most money managers recommend is to follow the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your income should go to your must-haves, aka your needs, 30% should go to your nice-to-haves or your wants, and 20% should go to your savings, whether that's saving for retirement or paying down debt. You may want to edit or add to the template's drop-down fields. Use the Fields tab to adjust the categories or add new ones, like additional family members. You know, in case you want another heir to divide up your fortune once you're Vanderbilt rich. Once all your data is entered, go to the Summary dashboard to quickly learn if you are on track or off track from your yearly goal. The Tracker Gauge tells if you are on track or off track to meet your goal year to date, and by how much. The Goal Tracker tells you how much is left to save before you reach your goal, and how long it will take. Then, view your month-by-month income and expenses, whether you've met your goal that month, and how much you're over or under. And view expenses by category, by person, and by must or nice to have for each month and for the whole year. If you're over budget, these pie charts show you exactly where your money is going, who's responsible, and where you need to cut down so you can budget accordingly. With the right tools, you can run your family budget like the OG Vanderbilts. As a profitable family, you ensure the adults are set for retirement and the kids are set for college, moving out on their own, or hoarding until their grandkids squander it. If you need some additional hacks to form the habit of budgeting, go watch our summary video on the book Atomic Habits by James Clear right now. Thank you so much for watching.